Okay, boom. Live on the TruMon Show with my great brother, PT. Prashant Trivedi, how are you?
I'm doing fine as always with the
Great,
PHI. Yes.
great.
So
So today we're going to keep going on our topic of observable astrology. Of course, that's why
right.
we're here. The last time when we left, my last question was I was asking you if there was any clue in the Vedic astrology about other celestial system other than Earth, the what we see from. Oh,
Yes.
I have something. Hold on. Okay, I'm
Yes.
just checking on the other screen. Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. So, is there evidence? Is there clue of other celestial system other than the one we observe from Earth?
Yeah. The thing is that the system which we observe on Earth actually is a system which comes from other planes of existence. It is connected to other planes of existence in Vedic astrology. For example, there's a thing called Nakshatras. Okay, Nakshatras are the 27 constellations in the sky. 27, not 13, 12 signs. Okay, 12 signs people know Aries, Taurus, everyone. Okay, there are 27 constellations called Nakshatras. Now, each of these nakshatras have stories, okay, which do not take place on Earth, which takes
Okay,
place on other planes of existence. Okay, so those things are pointers to the world above us and then world above that and things like that. So like there's a maxim like as above, so below.
yes.
So the point is like when Earth has been created, like the field which has been created here has to have something to do with what is in the realms above. It cannot be completely a separate thing, like a completely new system or something. It has to have the same sort of blueprint, same sort of things, as the things above. So the connections actually one can understand if one goes deeper into Vedic astrology. But the as the stars affect us here on this terrestrial plane, that can be only one system which is taught in the Vedic astrology, which is for the terrestrial plane for this earth, you know. But other
Okay,
aspects of other planes and what they are like, and and that is different. And a lot of those planes will not have an astrology like us
okay, okay, okay.
because they are beyond that kind of thing, because we are in a bounded plane. Okay, it's a karma bounded plane, and there are planes which are not bounded plane in that kind of way. Exactly, so that's very different for them, so than what it is for beings here.
Okay. Now, if we go, that brings light on the topic for me. Then it's up to me. It's up to all of us to dig a little deeper. If we,
Yes, yes,
but you gave us the big lines about it.
yes,
The moon, the moon. I want to talk about the moon and the
yes,
moon phases and the way, because it's not easy, but it's easier to follow the sun and to imagine a path for the sun than it is for the moon, because
yes,
the moon is a lot more mystical inner path than the sun to me, because I like from one day to another you will see her low on the horizon, then
yes,
high, then huge, then red, then all kinds of colors. Like, what is all this, PT?
yes. The moon thing is actually the phases uh, are actually important, for life on Earth. And actually, for the seeds germinate, when the seeds germinate.
Yes.
Okay. So when the ancients used to always put the seeds when the moon was in the waxing cycle. Okay. And whenever they planted seeds in the waning cycle, when the moon is coming down, you found that usually the crops failed. Okay. Now, so the germination process of seeds, and finally seeds and stuff is what gives life plants, right, on Earth. If plants were not there, like we won't have humans, right? Like that's not a possibility,
That's clear.
Yes, so that's clear. So even the cycles in women, menstruation cycles and stuff, are related to the moon cycle rather than the sun
Yes.
cycle.
Directly
So,
related.
so again, so point is the lunar energy is very important in that way that like solar energy is fine as being steady, you know, and their lunar energy works better by going up and down in a, like a sine wave sort of frequency, which allows things to actually grow. So there is a whole like energy field physics to it on a that thing level, but we can't go into that here. Like that's not this is not the platform for that. Okay, but I mean the solar thing happens on a longer cycle. Like it also has a sine wave, the sun, but it is a different cycle is in the sense that you have summer and then you have winter, right?
Yes.
The sun is stronger and then sun is weak. Okay, and then is a daily cycle, like sun is stronger in the midday, but weaker at sunrise and sunset. Okay, so there is a cycle of sun too in that way, which again harmonizes with the lunar cycle. That's a sine wave which harmonizes with the sine wave and creates its amplitudinal shifts, you know, which is basic core of astrology, Vedic
Okay.
astrology actually. The relationship between sun and moon, you know, and there are things called yog, karan, all of these things which from a person when they were born, which are dependent on the sun and moon relationship. In fact, the sun moon relationship creates most of the basic backbone ground of Vedic astrology. So, so actually, those cycles are the most important thing. Where is the moon in relation to sun, and then what is sun's that thing? What is sun doing at that time? You know? So,
Okay. And what about the color changing often and the size of the moon? Like if we go with direct observation, I can see different sizes. I know it has to do with the perspective, the way I look at it, and the way it's positioned in the sky, and
yeah,
all.
I mean, all that is much more easier to tell and much more easier to understand if you don't look at it as a physical object. Okay.
This is my next question. Like,
Yes.
is it
If you if you
just
if you don't look at it as a physical object, then you can understand how light can be bright, more bright. Like when you have LED light, sometimes it's more bright, and you don't care like okay whether it's more bright or less bright today. Like, it depends on the electricity which is coming in, and what kind of electricity. And you can say it can be dimmer or more that thing. And if you see it more of like a plasma thing, which I told in last talks in different.
yeah?
If you see it as that, then there's no problem. Then it can be like that at different times, and energy can actually change, and there can be more red tinge, or there can be more blue tinge, or there can be more other kind of tinges at different time in the moon. So it's not always going to be that silvery light.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
often you're able to see through it also.
yeah,
It's translucent at time.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm able to see directly through it in the daytime.
Because it's not a physical object. Like,
Okay.
so that's a very simple thing. These are not physical objects. So, but that is what so-called fake science has said, in the last 100 years, you know,
But
that
it's very easy to pretend when you look at it that it is a physical object. Like
yeah,
you have some kind of craters on the surface and all that stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is that design on the surface? Is it like,
I mean, anything like any plasma field can have aberrations. I mean, Vedic, there was a story like how, they make stories like how Moon was proud of its looks, so it got cursed, and you will have some spots on your face. It's like having spots on the face, right? Like, you
yeah,
know, yeah. So then it got cursed, and so, but the basic point is that the field effect, it had a full field effect, and now the field effect is darkened, means like it doesn't have a full field effect anymore as it used to, basically. So that's what the actual point is of those markings and things like that. So that's the actual story, but they were put in these different kind of stories and tales in the past. But to look at it as a physical object is nonsensical. Like, it is not
okay.
going to
And
make any sense. So yeah.
what about a lot of people refer to the dark side of the moon? What is this? Like, is there a dark side of the moon, or is the moon spherical? Is the moon just a disk, a luminary in the sky, like you said, a being that
Yeah,
is
it's a disc.
emitting
It's a
his
disc.
own light, apparently? No?
Yeah, it's a disc. Like it's a portal. Now you have a
Portal.
screen, like a screen, like you have a screen in a cinema.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and no one cares who is behind it, what is behind the screen. When the movie is being played on a projector, right, onto a screen, there's always a dark side. What do you mean by dark side? There's something behind as well, which you will see the shadows. If you go behind the cinema and you have a screen, projector is projecting, you go behind it. Okay, you will see some images still, but not as what you see in the front.
Okay.
That's the backside of the projector. Basically, it's the film projector, and the what is the backside of it. That's what it is. It's nothing, you know.
Because if I can observe the moon here in Canada a certain way from my perspective, how do you see it at the same time? But probably it's going to be daytime in India when it's nighttime for me. But is that why you don't see it? Or you still see it? And do you still see the same face as I see?
I mean, the point is,
Is it
even
rotating? Like,
even the projection of anything doesn't have to come from one place. For different people, it can have a different projection system. You know what I'm saying? But overall, the moon's phases around the world stay the same. Okay, if it's seventh phase going right now, like of the waxing, it'll be seventh phase everywhere, like you know what I'm saying, mostly. So the waxing waning is similar for the whole world, all of Earth plane,
okay.
you know, at the same time. So
It's
that part remains same actually. There's no, like for example, right now, if you have a Vedic astrology, like a chart, I have an app, you know,
yeah.
like stars right now app I have on that, and you can download it. It's free, I think. So, and then from there you can see the moon, okay, and it'll tell you moon this. So it'll for Canada, okay. So when you look out, the moon will be that, okay. It'll be third phase of the waxing or the fourth phase of the waning, either or whatever. So so that can be calculated as per the Vedic calculations. And now these calculations are not modern NASA calculations.
Okay.
Okay, these are as per the Vedic calculations. You can find what the moon would be doing in any part of Earth at any time, whether it'll be under the horizon, whether it'll be above the horizon, where will it be, and what size, basically, like in terms of its, you know, fortnightly cycle, where it be, like in that.
And could the fact that I sometimes see it bigger, like I was telling you on the horizon, has to
Yeah,
do with like often they refer to it like you see objects bigger because of water, and it's
yeah. The
it's a weird
atmosphere,
word, atmosphere,
atmos,
atmosplane,
atmosphere, the this
more
air
the
thing is not
atmosplane.
always same, right? The amount of humidity is not the same.
Okay,
The Like people think air is air, like everywhere same, which is
that's the
not,
notion we
is a
have
notion.
that we're in the air.
Yeah, yeah, but that's not the case actually. In reality,
Okay,
like, that's not the air is always changing around. Like today, air is like this here, like, and tomorrow it can be totally different. Like, I mean, if we have this interview, like tomorrow, like this light which is falling on me right now, it'll be different. I'll look different because of this. The air is different, and this how the sunlight is going through the air. That also changes, and that changes, you know, because the light on me is coming from this window, which changes every day, even for sunlight. So the same will happen for moon, and not just the light which reaches, the light which goes from us and makes us see something is also going to change. So
and also they say often that there is, I don't like atmospheric, atmosplane pressure.
yeah,
And they refer to it as pressure in the
yeah.
air. Why exactly is? Could that explain
I mean density, but that's density, right? Whether it is more dense or less dense.
what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying
yeah,
that
yeah,
what
yeah.
sits around us? No?
Yeah. So it can be less dense or more dense. The diffractive
Okay,
index will change depending on the density. So that's the that's all. So that because everything is a lens. Okay, air is also a lens. Okay, and it'll change things depending on what the lens's quality is, basically.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, when I look at the sun, it's pretty easy. I'm telling you, sometimes I'm spot on with the time. Okay, I'm trying to look at the sun, not to have watch, like you say, and all that. And I just
Yeah.
look at the sun in the summer, and it's pretty easy to tell the time with the sun. With the moon, can you tell the time of the day with the moon the same thing that we do with the sun? Can the moon or tell us the time of the night?
Depends on if you know the Jyotish aspect, you can tell. Okay, in the sense of Vedic astrology, for example, you have to see the signs also.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, you know that if sun is setting at some point, that once sun is in one sign for 1 month, okay, so then that sign is setting with it. Okay, okay, so then the opposite sign will be on the west, or like
Be-
on the east, on the
and it
east.
changes with the
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
So
So if sun is in Libra, then Aries will be rising in the east. Okay, so once the sun has gone down after Aries, the other cycle, other signs will rise from there. So what those signs are, and moon will also be in a sign. So you can tell every 2 hours pretty much the sign changes.
okay,
so so you can tell in the moon and the that thing there. So even moon is not required for that. You just required to see the signs basically. You know.
it's
So
more the signs that will
yeah, so that's why Orion was used very easily in the
also why it's called a sign. It must give us
yeah.
some sign on something.
Yes. Like if you were in the like seas earlier, and you saw Orion, and Orion is Gemini, and so on based on the position of Orion, where it was in the sky, and you could tell the time in night, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
So
to go back to the moon, of course, we are talking about the moon. They say often that it has effect on the tides. That's what I heard when I picked up the information of Babylon, that the moon had to do with the tides and the sun also. The
yeah,
energy of those two major celestial bodies would be directly affecting the tides. What's your saying on that?
yeah. I mean, the thing is like ocean has a complex relationship between the two because the energy of those two things is affecting it in different ways. For example, moon is creating a cooling
Yes.
and sun is creating a heating.
Yeah, the light is cold. Yeah.
And so it's heating. So heating and cooling, heating, cooling, heating, cooling. Now, if any hot body is heated, for example, even in it bubbles come and thing like that,
Yes.
before it steams, because they say steam comes out and makes the cloud, right? When the sun hits the ocean, right? Yeah.
Yes.
When the sun is warming the ocean and moon is cooling it. Okay. So when it's cooling it, something is happening between the two that makes the water slightly agitated and not totally calm.
Calm.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So that agitation is called tides, waves, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Like that's all that is. So that's just those forces acting upon. Yeah.
So those forces are because I can't see. I don't think it's the bottom of the ocean floor that is moving, creating this. Like,
No, I
s-
mean heating is happening obviously. Like I mean that's why you find that water is much colder near the so-called south, like Antarctic, Arctic, and near the equator where sun is strongest, the ocean is warmest.
yes,
I mean, the situation is quite clear to see. And when you have that much difference in water temperature in a water body, like one is so hot here and cold here, there will be some movement, which are called currents in the ocean, and waves and stuff will happen anyways. Like so,
and that's why we see probably the tides only in the ocean. We don't see tides in rivers and lake.
yeah, yes. I mean, because it's a bigger body and it's a very big body, and the temperature difference in the same body.
Is
For
the
example, in Indian Ocean, like near Sri Lanka, the temperature is very warm near the equator. And the same thing, you keep on going south, and then it's very cold out there. But the body is same of water. Like it's not changed. Rivers are not that long or big or anything where you can see this kind of change in that bigger body of water in first place. So
and could the fact that the water is salted too as a high salt content, the seawater has to do with transfer of energy or something with the moon and the sun?
obviously, I mean, the thing which has got salt in it will be more like a battery
Ah,
in a
yeah,
certain
like
in a certain kind of way. See what I'm saying?
True,
I mean,
true.
so if you have salted water at one point and totally distilled water on the other side, some charge is created between the two, like a pure water, absolutely, and salt water create a
And
effect. That
often they don't mix the salt. Like it's very weird because you see that phenomena here in Quebec, là, on the fleuve Saint Laurent. If you go all the way up to Quebec City or maybe Tadoussac, it starts to be salted, the water. But if you go down to Trois-Rivières, starting from probably Quebec City,
yeah,
it's no more salted. Like the fleuve is just
yeah,
not unsalted water. But if
yeah.
you go higher, like sometimes they don't mix those water. How can that be
I
kept
mean,
so contained into
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. Obviously, so these things have their field effects, and the basic science of that has not been taught. You know, so the so-called fake science cannot explain a lot of things. GMC.
yeah,
Obviously, in the
definitely.
cells in our body, whatever, the like in our blood or whatever, which is saline as well. Like the blood is salty too, right? Human blood
Yes,
is salty as well, so, and the charge is flowing through it, you know. So that kind of thing is there. So there's more conductivity of charge through that kind of medium. Do you understand? That's why I was saying that people should not drink too much water, like, because
yeah,
that will make it weak, their charge conductivity inside the blood and inside their body. Do you understand? So that's what my point was exactly, because lack of electrolytes. Now that's what they call electrolytes. Now they have,
electrolytes. Yeah,
for the athletes, they have to have electrolyte water. They can't have normal water, right? Like that's, but that should have always been the case. Like coconut water is electrolytic water, you know. So
and also certain beings, because fish are beings also, they won't live. They live only in salt water. They won't go in. Why certain fish are okay in not salted water and others just they could?
I mean that depends on what their internal system is. Like their internal system has to be opposite and needing of that. If their system is internal system is opposite, they will need the opposite.
Yeah,
So the nature will design in such way that if you live in fresh water, then your internal system will have a certain amount of saltiness already. Okay, and if you have less amount of saltiness, then you will need the salty system outside. You know,
and
because if it is both the same, then there will be too much of one, and then it will be collapse. Okay.
is it the same for human? Also, like if I'm born, and obviously I'm not born near an ocean. From Trois-Rivières, Quebec, it's not near the ocean; it's near
Yeah.
the fleuve. But that's it. If I would be born near an ocean, would acclimate to the ocean water easily? Then, or is there's no
Yeah.
difference
There
if
is
I?
there is there is there will be a thing like that.
Okay,
Yeah. There is a.
now
So you obviously, like wherever you're born, your first impression of Earth creates a field which you are most used to in a certain kind of way.
okay,
So any changes to that field, your body will respond to. Basically.
that's what I was under
Yeah,
the impression
yeah,
of.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. The eclipses, that's another very interesting topic, the eclipses, because it's not obviously what we've been told it was. I realize that. But what can you tell us about the is it just another body, another, some refer to it as being the black sun passing in front of the sun? It looks to be a third celestial body, maybe
Yeah, there are two
similar
celestial.
to the
There are
size
two.
of the moon and the sun. But
There are two of them. They're called Rahu and Ketu in Vedic
yeah,
astrology.
we heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're called the North Node and the South Node, and this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can call them many which ways. I have a book on them, like my first book on Vedic astrology covered this topic. Then it was called the Rahu Ketu experience. Okay, so so it was a whole thing dealing with these two bodies and what is their role in human affairs. Okay, so but these are bodies. They are invisible at other times. Other sort of bodies are visible. You can see me next.
Where do they go? Like where do
No, they
they,
don't. They're just they're just a kind of plasma shield kind of thing
okay.
which is invisible. It only comes when it comes to the sun and moon. You can see it. Jeez. Other time you cannot. It is like just like this. That is the nature of this that thing. So these are called elusive, more elusive bodies. Like but body not in the sense of our body. We are still talking plasma only. You know.
Yes.
Yes, so people should remember that because whenever term bodies is used, people think physical or something like that. So which these things are not in that state. So it's not a physical state. These things are in the sky. So yeah, that's just a NASA angle.
Yeah. That's an
of,
angle of things.
everything is physical up there, and so if the aliens have to be physical, the other worlds have to be physical, just like us, exactly the same. you know it's a narrative which has been fed over like 70, 80, 100 years now. So people have just bought it. No ancients thought like that. you know yeah. So
And could those stars up there are able to, those beings up there, we're going to call them beings for what they
yeah,
are they able to descend on Earth? Because you have been into crop circles a lot. I
yeah.
was always under the impression that it was some kind of being up there coming. Like sometimes you see those flying
in
stars,
it
shooting stars.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
what is
Shooting stars are actually beings traveling in between worlds.
this? Is what I
Yeah,
thought
so it's a
often.
trail. It's a trail from, like, they travel that thing and stuff. That's what it is. So yeah, it's
And
not a physical thing. So yeah.
could they be responsible for the designs of those
Obviously,
crop
crop circles
circles?
are interdimensional phenomena, and interdimensional beings are responsible. I've always said that openly and clearly in all my. Uh, so that is a one. Crop circles are one phenomena in which that interaction between us and those is irrefutable. It's 100%. Everybody can see it. Nobody can deny it. Nobody can say that this is not the case. Okay, like this is, because other things, ghosts and stuff, people can say, oh, somebody saw it, I didn't see it, I don't know. Like, there is always confusion, you know. But in this kind of thing, there's no confusion. With popsicles, everything is open and clear and out there. So that's why it should have become the biggest phenomena every human being should have known about on Earth. Okay, and studied and used for making it clear that there's other realities besides the physical. It could have been used for teaching so many things. Okay, but that's why the media has completely kept out
Yeah.
of that phenomena. I mean, something like that is happening on Earth, and it is not known to every person on Earth, and everybody doesn't know about it. It's a shame. It shows a whole lot about where we are and how things are being run out there. So
Everything is kept hush hush always.
yeah,
You have to dig often, but who seek will find. There's a
yeah.
lot of persons out there like you documenting the
I know.
crop
I
circles.
understand, but considering what it is, considering it is such a clear thing on the physical, the interest should be huge. The interest
Yeah.
should be so huge that everybody should want to know what is happening, right?
Yes.
Everybody, like, not a single person on earth, because these questions are in everybody. Are we alone? What is this? Like, everybody has these questions. So
It should be an existential questions. What
yeah,
are the crop circle? Who makes them? What's behind this? What kind of force? What kind
yeah,
of, and is did someone seen those orbs going to design the stuff? Like you, PT, you've been there often, singing and playing guitar and all that inside the crop circles. Have you
yeah.
stayed there like a few days
Yeah,
just to
I've stayed.
observe at night or see
Yes,
if you would?
yes, I've seen. I've stayed there overnight, and some designs got made the exact night I stayed there overnight, and right in the field next to where I was staying. Like, so, yeah,
But they do it very very fast,
yeah. There's nothing.
it's
There's nothing. It's it's faster than that. It's faster than
wow.
that.
This blows my mind. That's
Yeah,
definitely, it's mind-blowing for sure,
yeah,
and everybody should be like fascinated by
yeah.
those
I mean,
crop
and that
circles.
that
But
shows, like, amount of interest, crop circles pretty much show, like, it takes out which human beings actually are alive and want to really find some answers or not. I mean, if this kind of phenomenon is happening and you have any kind of curiosity, any kind of realistic, sincere, quest for knowing, then you would definitely go into it. And
That's it. It's
that
like
majority of the humans are not on this plane right now. That tells a whole lot about the situation here. I mean, it's a it's a like a test in itself, you know, from those beings above also. They can see, like, okay, look, how many of these will actually pay attention to this, like, I mean, it's a
and could
it,
those orbs or those beings go into, like, for sure they've been living for a long time, they're up there forever. I think the earth has always been here, that's all there is, and those
yeah.
being there's always been being up there. But do they go into different era, different times, and leave prints on earth of,
Yeah, I mean, right
because
now these prints are being left like this because there was a time when they could actually physically manifest in front of people. There was a time when these beings could physically manifest, which is not the time right now. They are under a sort of a quarantine right now that they can't do that, basically. Or because there's a particular time on Earth where this quarantine is there. Okay. So that's why a crop circle way is the way they're communicating, you know. Otherwise, there was a time on Earth itself where beings could actually physically, and those beings can be seen in all of these. People have seen all these crafts, and ancients have made up these UFOs, crafts, beings coming out, and all of that is there everywhere around the Earth, you know. So that used to be in those times. That question did not exist, that, oh, is there something beyond us, or is there life? That didn't exist because it was known
that's it.
that it does, you know. So
Well,
yeah,
okay, but that's it for our session today. But we're gonna keep going on that
yeah.
topic because I was gonna bring up the pyramid next. So
Okay, okay.
we'll keep
Next
that
time,
for the
yes,
next one because
yes, yes,
that's another very interesting one because it's perfectly aligned apparently
yes,
with Orion and
yeah,
all this. So how, and anyway, so much
yeah,
uh, intrigue about all those phenomena. There's others too. There's not only the pyramid and the crop circle. There's a whole bunch of stuff. That's why I'm saying maybe they go into different era, different times, and like the because anyway, I have so many things
yes, yes,
to
yes. No
there's
problem.
so,
Next time.
that's it. We'll be here again probably next Thursday if everything goes
Right. Yeah,
according to the plan. But
yeah,
sometimes it could be another day, no problem.
yeah, yeah.
But thank you everyone for being here. Thanks, PT, again for your full presence and power here on the TruMon Show, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Yes.
See ya.